Page 6-9 in your notes is not anything new. It's just a way to organize all of the properties, the rules that we've looked at so far, and then have some examples of each. So if you can see, we have all of our different examples, all of our different rules through here with some examples. So it might be helpful to try these on your own and then come back and check. This is just a really good way to use these examples and these notes when you are starting to study for your quiz. So when we add or subtract monomials, it says right here we combine like terms and do not change the variable's exponents. You only combine the coefficients. So number 1, we have our 9 and our 10. Our x squared y matches, so we just do 9 minus 10, which is -1. So you can just put a negative x squared y. Number 2, it says to subtract 6w from 8w. So that means you need to do 8w minus 6w. So our final answer is just 2w. Our second box, we are multiplying. So this is our product rule. We are multiplying bases, so we add our exponents. X to the a plus b. So our first example, we have h to the second and h to the sixth, so that would be h to the eighth. Number 2, when you have coefficients and variables, this is still a multiplication problem. So -2 times 7 is -14. So you multiply your coefficients. The a's, we have a 2 and a 3, so that would be a to the fifth. A lot of people just put a b here. Remember, you have 1 and 1 for a total of 2. Your number always needs to be higher than what you start with. Our third one is the power rule. That's when you have an exponent to an exponent. In that case, we multiply. So x to the a times b. So number 1, we have just a variable to an exponent, so that is simply x to the sixth. Number 2, we have two things happening. So first we need to, it's like distributing the squared. -2 squared is +4. Remember, if you're plugging it into your calculator, you need to put -2 in parentheses and the squared on the outside. Negative times negative is positive. And then we would have m to the 10th, because we multiply our exponents, times m to the 3rd. So our final answer, some of us don't know what to do with that 4. Remember, there's a 1 there, so 4 times 1 is 4. Now we add our exponents to get m to the 13th. So you will have all of your different rules combined for some of these. Our next one is the quotient rule. When we're dividing, we subtract our exponents. So this becomes x to the a minus b. So the one mistake we make is we think we need to subtract 27 minus 42, but we do not. It's a division problem, so you need to divide those. You need to simplify them. 3 goes into both, so 9 over 14. Then we subtract, remember there's a 1 here, so x to the 4th. Number 2, we have y squared squared becomes y to the 4th over y to the 4th. Two ways you can think about this. We'll get down to the 0 property in a minute, but if you subtract, you get y to the 0. Not just 0, but y to the 0. Anything to the 0 power is 1. Now you should be able to skip that step and just realize anything divided by itself cancels out to 1. So your final answer needs to be 1, not 0. Then we have our negative exponents. One of the rules in math is you cannot have negative exponents. So if you have a negative exponent, you need to make a fraction and send it to the bottom, which makes it positive. Negative exponent means the inverse. Number 1, the problem with this one is most people want to send both things to the bottom. The coefficients don't change. So we still have -5 on the top, and then the x squared is the only thing that goes to the bottom. Number 2, first we simplify 4 over 8 and get 1/2. Subtract to get k to the -3. So our k needs to go down with the 2, so 1 over 2k to the +3rd. Here's our 0 exponent rule. Anything to the 0 power is 1. And again, we showed why that is up here in number 2. Now the problem with this in number 1 is most people think they can just put a 1, but that is not true. Technically, this means 7 times 1, right? The x to the 0 becomes a 1, so it's just 7. You do not have to show that step. Hopefully you know it's just 7. Number 2 is just like the number 2 up above that I circled. First we do 4 times 2 and get w to the 8th over w to the 8th. So again, some of you are able to just realize, oh, those cancel out and we get 1. Otherwise, if you subtract, you get w to the 0. Anything to the 0 power, you need to change to 1. The common mistake is people think there's a w left. There is not a w left because the w to the 8th and w to the 8th cancel out. So this paper will help you when you study and practice for your quiz.